Right now, as you're watching this, two of the most powerful military forces on the planet are locked in a conflict that nobody fully understands. And I mean nobody. Not the analysts in Washington, not the generals in Tehran, and definitely not the politicians trying to explain it to you on cable news. Iran says it has total control over the Strait of Hormuz and is sinking oil tankers. The United States says it just obliterated Iran's entire naval fleet. 17 warships gone, nothing left floating. Both of those things cannot be true at the same time. So what's actually happening? Well, one of the sharpest foreign policy minds in the world just gave an interview that blows apart almost every assumption you've been fed about this war. And trust me, the answers are not what you're expecting, especially if you're watching this from Europe, because what's unfolding right now is about to hit your economy, your energy bills, and your security in ways that most European leaders aren't even willing to talk about publicly yet. Hit subscribe right now if you want the truth without the corporate filter. We cover what they won't every single day. Turn on notifications so you never miss when we expose the next major story. Do it now. Let's start with the choke point that keeps the global economy alive. The Strait of Hormuz, this narrow passage between Iran and the Arabian Peninsula, carries roughly 20% of the world's oil supply and a similar share of liquefied natural gas. When Iran's Revolutionary Guard announced it was imposing full sovereignty over those waters and threatened to sink any tanker attempting passage, that wasn't just military posturing. That was a direct shot at the jugular of the global energy market. Now, the U.S. Central Command came out almost immediately and said they'd destroyed Iran's naval capability entirely. 17 vessels gone, no fleet remaining. On paper, that sounds like a decisive win. But here's what nobody's asking. If Iran's navy is destroyed, why are oil prices still climbing? Why is the shipping industry in a state of panic? Because controlling a strait isn't just about ships. It's about mines. It's about shore-based missile batteries. It's about the credible threat that any vessel entering those waters might not come out. And for Europe, this isn't some abstract geopolitical chess game. This is your heating bill. This is your industrial output. This is the price you pay at the pump tomorrow morning. 4 days into this conflict, oil has already hit $84 a barrel. Gold is trading at $5,400, and we're just getting started. But the single most seismic event in this war so far isn't about ships or oil. It's about one man. Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, 86 years old, the man who ruled the Islamic Republic for 36 years, is dead. Now, everyone knew he was aging. Everyone knew his health was declining. That part wasn't a surprise. What was a surprise is how it happened. He wasn't taken by illness or old age. He was killed, targeted, eliminated while surrounded by his own commanders, with the entire Revolutionary Guard on high alert and preparing for war. Think about that for a second. The most protected man in Iran, inside the most fortified command structure the regime could build, and they still got to him. Both Israel and the United States had reportedly made his removal a stated war objective. Israel had even attempted to take him out months earlier, back in June. So his death wasn't just the end of a political era. It was designed to be the opening act of something much larger. And this is where things get genuinely fascinating, because what's happened since his death tells you more about how Iran actually works than anything you've read in the last 20 years. Before Khamenei was killed, he built something, a system, not just a government, but a layered, decentralized structure designed to survive exactly this scenario. According to analysis shared by Vali Nasser, an Iranian-American scholar and one of the most respected voices in Middle Eastern geopolitics, speaking with Foreign Policy's editor Rafi Agrawal, Khamenei had appointed 4 successors for every critical position: military, civilian, intelligence, 4 deep for each role. That's not a government. That's a survival architecture. And it was stress-tested repeatedly. After the killing of Ismail Haniyeh, after the assassination of Hassan Nasrallah, after the brutal 12-day war, each time the system adapted, decentralized further, and kept functioning. So right now, someone is running Iran. The Revolutionary Guard is still operating. Decisions are being made, missiles are being launched, and strategies are being executed. But here's the critical part. Nobody outside Iran knows who that person is. And that's not an accident. It's the entire point. Because Iran learned a devastating lesson from Hezbollah. When Nasrallah was killed and Hezbollah announced his successor, that successor immediately became Israel's next target. So Iran has made a calculated decision. Whoever is leading the country right now will remain invisible. Israel claims it killed 40 senior commanders in the opening hours of the war. They struck the joint command structure almost immediately. And yet Iran is still standing, still fighting, still launching. That tells you the system works. The deep state that Khamenei built, the network of senior bureaucrats, military commanders, Revolutionary Guard officers, and clerics, is functioning exactly as designed. And the fact that neither the US nor Israel can identify and target the real decision maker is arguably Iran's greatest strategic achievement in this entire conflict. Now here's where President Trump enters the picture with a move that sounds great on paper, but falls apart under any serious scrutiny. He called on the Iranian people to rise up, revolt, take to the streets, overthrow the regime from within, and he promised American support would be coming. So why hasn't it happened? Vali Nasser laid out 3 reasons, and each one is more damning than the last. First, you cannot ask an unarmed civilian population to launch a revolution while their country is being bombed. People are watching B-2 Spirit bombers drop GBU-57 bunker busters on Iranian soil. They're seeing explosions that level entire city blocks. In that environment, survival instinct overrides political anger every single time. Nobody is marching to the presidential palace when cruise missiles are landing 3 streets over. Second, the Revolutionary Guard and the besieged paramilitary forces are everywhere. Because the United States chose an air campaign rather than a ground invasion, Iran's ground-level security apparatus is completely intact. The Air Force may be degraded, the air defenses may be hit, but the hundreds of thousands of armed men patrolling every major city, they're untouched. Anyone who steps outside to protest is walking into a security force that has full operational capability and absolutely no hesitation about using it. And third, and this is the one nobody wants to admit, there is no opposition, not a real one. There's no organized political movement inside Iran capable of channeling public anger into sustained, directed action. And the exile leadership that some Western media keeps promoting, they have zero ground game, zero operational presence inside the country. The idea that the Shah's son could somehow direct a revolution from a television studio in Los Angeles while bombs are falling on Isfahan is, to put it bluntly, a fantasy. It makes for good cable news segments, but on the ground, in the middle of an active war, it is completely disconnected from reality. And this brings us to the most uncomfortable question of all. What exactly is Washington trying to achieve? Because right now, not even Washington seems to know. Vali Nasser made a point that should genuinely alarm anyone paying attention. The American president has given 3 completely different justifications for this war. First, his special envoy